So today we're going to be talking about online banking, and we're going to do a bit of a beginner's guide to online banking. If you're someone who already does online banking, hopefully this will be a refresher to let you know some of the services that are available with online banking, as well as giving a bit of a refresh on security and safety when it comes to online banking. For those of you who might not already be enrolled to do online banking, we'll talk a bit about exactly how it works, some of the benefits of it, maybe some of the cons of it, and if you're interested in setting it up, how you can do so. So online banking is more secure now than ever. There are a lot of concerns, I think, from people who maybe don't do online banking at this point about security. But what I can say is online banking actually has a potential to provide more security, and systems are really locked down and encrypted in a way that makes your accounts really safe. And they can actually having an online banking account can actually help protect your banking information and allow you to get a wider view of your online banking history, as well as any current purchases, so that you're aware of what's going on in your accounts sooner. Now, online banking also can help with physical barriers. So physical barriers won't keep you from making deposits or paying bills on time, right? Maybe we're sick, maybe we're injured, maybe there's a horrible snowstorm outside, and I know we're probably trying to forget about that now that the weather's nicer. But sometimes that happens, and getting to the bank just isn't as feasible or isn't as comfortable. So it can remove those physical barriers that might crop up. Online banking can also help you achieve independence. Again, this may not be something right now, but God forbid, there are physical barriers. Online banking allows you to do your banking remotely, so you can take care of things from the comfort of home on your device, and it can allow for an added level of independence, especially as we age or as injuries or illness crops up. An important thing for us to be able to have that control over our accounts. And you can access online banking through any smartphone, tablet, or computer. So if you have any of those, you can access online banking no problem. Now, what can you do with online banking? Online banking allows you to do things like check your balance at any time. We can imagine this could be helpful in many circumstances, right? We just want to make sure that we have enough funds. We're about to make maybe a purchase. We just want to check. Or if we're concerned about maybe some sort of breach of our account, we can check our balance and we can check any charges right away rather than having to wait for our monthly balance to come in via mail. So you can check our balance at any time. We can also use it to pay bills and transfer money between accounts faster. So you can do e-transfers, which allow you to transfer monies from your account to someone else's account really quickly to make simple and small payments as well as large payments. And you can check linked mortgages, loans, saving, or individual savings accounts. So all of your information that's tied to your banking account can be checked online in an instant, giving you immediate information on those accounts. You can also use it to check your bank statements and go paperless, so you can stop getting paper bills entirely. If you do online banking, though, you don't have to opt out of paper bills. You can still receive both, but you're able to go back and find any previous statements. So as well as being able to see any sort of purchases or account statements in a moment. So you literally just went to the pharmacy, you bought some lotion, you get back home, you could check your bank account, and there it will be on your statement right away. So those things are visible immediately. But you also still will get a monthly statement, and those will be available electronically through your account. So you could always go back and find old statements. If you happen to have lost one and you need it, you can always go find that through online banking. You can also set up or cancel direct debits or standing orders. So you just have more control in the moment over any sort of payments you're making. And you can deposit checks and e-transfer money. So you have a physical check in your hand. You actually no longer have to go to the bank to deposit that. You can use your device, whether you have a phone or a tablet, to take a photo of that check and deposit it electronically. So provides a bit of freedom there, right? Especially maybe, banks not open or we can't get to there and we want to just deposit that check right away because maybe we need those funds. You can do it right away on your device. So it's quite convenient. Now, How do you access online banking? So you can access online banking anywhere that has internet connection. Now, this might mean connecting with a device through Wi Fi, but this also means that if you have a smartphone that has a cellular data plan that allows you to access the internet, you can also access online banking through that connection. So you just need a connection to the internet. It is accessible by its website on computers and by its app on phones and tablets. So there is a distinct difference there in terms of the interface and how we interact with the bank online. It does differ on computer versus tablet or phone. Our experience will be slightly different for sure. How it looks might be different in the layout. So there's a difference there, but we can access it from either kind of device, but only on the website through our computer and only on the app through our phones and tablets. Now, online banking websites and apps are protected using end-to-end encryption technology, so they are quite secure. And what this means is that your actual connection to the bank is protected and encrypted. So it makes it harder for any potential malicious actors to kind of gain access to that connection. Now, that doesn't mean that there are no weak points in this connection. The bank itself does a lot to protect that connection. And if there is an issue in which that connection isn't safe and that's on the banks, then they'll take responsibility for that, and that's not your responsibility. However, as I said, there are risks associated sometimes with this, and this mostly comes when we're doing things like using public Wi-Fi, or else if we're using an out-of-date browser. So when you're connecting to these sites, you want to make sure that you're using a secure Wi-Fi network, so a home network. You may not want to use the public library Wi-Fi, for example, to access this. There are things that we can do in order to protect that connection if we do want to use or need to use a public Wi-Fi network. Things like downloading a VPN, which is a virtual private network. You can download this as an app on a computer, tablet, or phone, and that provides an added layer of encryption and protection, especially when we're using public Wi-Fi networks. We've talked about cybersecurity earlier on, but if you need a refresher, do let me know and I'm happy to walk you through. But protecting that connection is going to be really important here. So making sure we're using either our cellular data plan or a home Wi-Fi network. If we are using a public Wi-Fi network, making sure that we're taking extra safety protocols by using things like a virtual private network, VPN app. Additionally, we want to make sure that our devices and our browsers are updated. So our device software, always make sure that it's updated to whatever the most current system is. And the same with our browser. So if we use, say, Safari or Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox, whichever one of these internet platforms we use, we also want to make sure that that's up to date, because most of those updates have to do with updating security protocols. And that's the way we're connecting to these banks. So we want to make sure we have the best security possible on that end. So as I said, if you're using Wi-Fi, use your own data or use a VPN if you're using a smartphone or tablet. Now, getting started. So to find your bank or credit union's app or online banking website, you can generally, if you have your card handy, the website should be on the back of the card. As you can see in this example, it's in the top left corner. It might differ from institution to institution, but you should always have a website on the back. If you don't see a website on the back, you should also have a phone number and you can call and check. But you can also just go online and Google it. On a computer, go and do a Google search. And if you're using a phone or a tablet, as I said, you'll have to use the app. So you can go to the App Store. So on Apple devices, the App Store, and on Android devices, so it's basically every other kind of device, you go to the Google Play Store, and those are the apps. So I'm going to show you right now how to find your banking app on a tablet. I'm going to use an iPad as an example. Doing this on the Android is a similar experience. And then I'm going to show you doing it on a computer so you can see how we access each point. And I can point out a few little safety things as well as tips on how to actually begin the sign up process if you haven't already set up. So here is my tablet screen. So right, in order to download this app, our first step is going to be to go to our dedicated app store. Mine's this one right here, the app store. So I will go there, do that. So I'm going to click right there. And once we're in here, we want to use the search bar to search for our bank. Now, this might be located elsewhere. As you can see, there's also a search button down here in my bottom right corner. If you're in the Apple App Store, you have to go to that search section first. So you may have to click on that search button in the bottom right corner. In the Google Play Store, the search bar will just automatically be at the top of your screen up here like this. So we'll just go and search for our bank. So for my example, I'll do TD as the bank we're going to use. So I can just type in TD. Now it should be pretty obvious out front which bank is the right one. It's right here. Occasionally you might see other options. So say if I typed in TD here, you'll see that I might get other options, right? For example, with TD Bank, it's a Canadian bank, but they have US operations, right? So they have two different apps for me. I think I'm in the Canadian App Store. That's why I'm seeing this. But you may have multiple ones. They may also have different sort of apps, like they have this My Spend tracking app. So there might be multiple ones. If you're unsure about which is the right one, just make sure that you click on the app icon. So we'll do this one. And then you can read a bit more about the app and make sure it's the correct one. Now, if you're ever concerned about safety at all too, uh, just open up this section and scroll down and you should be able to see the developer somewhere on your screen. So mine says it right here, developer TD Bank. So I know that the person who developed this app is TD Bank itself. So this is how I know it is the correct app. So I can go ahead and download this. Usually this will say get or download. I already have it, so it's just going to say open, but I can download it right from here. So once I open this app, here it is on my screen. So when I first open this app, it's going to prompt me to log in. So if I already do have online banking set up, if I've already done this, I can just come in and I just put in my username and password. Now, the first time I do this, it might ask to set up a few security protocols like two-factor authentication and stuff like that, but I can just pretty much log right in. Now, if I don't have an account yet, I can sign up from here by clicking sign up. And it should take me through a multi-part kind of process of setting up my account. So I'll choose what kind of account I have, say I have personal, and it will ask me some questions. And I just kind of go through this page by page to set it up, right? So just read it, make sure you're clicking right term, accept the terms. Namely, it's going to ask you for your, obviously, your first name, last name, email, account type, account number, ATM, debit card, social security number. Now, if you don't have any components of this setup, say you don't have like a social security number, in that case, you will have to go into the branch and they should be able to allow you to bypass some of these things if you don't have them or help you set them up. So you can definitely go through and set this up on your own using the online forms, but you can also go in person or call and have someone walk you through it. They're generally able to, finagle it a bit if there's certain details that are a bit more unclear or you may not have them. So definitely go in and set it up if this is not working out for you. But it's a pretty simple process. You just need to make sure you have certain information ready and accessible, things like your social security number, that ATM card or debit card number, and your account number. We just continue through this process and then we can log in. Now, this process does look slightly different on a computer, so I'll show that. So say I did search, say, TD Bank. I can search that. I can also search something like Bank of America, right? So the easiest way to do this is just to Google search it and you'll find it. And generally, if you scroll, you should see something that says online banking. You can search online banking too, and it might take you more directly. We should have an enroll now option here. So we can click through and it's going to take us through pretty much the exact same form and setup that we did on the tablet. It's just going to look slightly different because it is a computer, but we can go through and do this just the same. Now, depending on the institution as well, they may have certain guides and setups. When we're on this page too, we can see like learn more or view online banking demo. So you'll see right here, they have a demo that I can click on that allows me to kind of see. So like would take us back to this page. So right above where we clicked enroll now, there's actually a video that walks us through it. So we can watch this video and it
Welcome
will
to
walk us
online banking.
through how to do it for that particular bank. The same goes for a bank like Bank of America or whatever bank we're with. We click in, we'll have an option to enroll. So I'll click that. And I know in here they have this really helpful walkthrough. So like, and if you don't have some of the information right, I don't have a social security number or something like that, they can assist you with that. But they have an option to show me just how to enroll. And I find this to be actually a really helpful tool. You click here and it actually walks you through step by step how you're going to do this and all this information. So a helpful tool here to go through. So if you're unsure, make sure you look around when you're doing that enrollment. Generally, you should find something that says, how do I do this? How do I sign up? And they should be able to help you do that, or they'll have videos or guides on how to do it. Because as I said, like every banking institution is going to be slightly different. So, you know, what I'm going to show in the slides coming up may not be wholly relevant to you. That being said, it's going to look the same most of the time, so you won't see that much of a difference there. But easy, go to Google, go to your app store. Usually it's a step-by-step process. If there's ever any snags in when you're setting it up, just call your bank or go in person because they can set it up for you that way as well. So that's also a possibility. You don't have to do the setup procedure on your own, but you can if you feel comfortable doing so and you want to, and you want to avoid going into the bank in the first place. As I said, we'll walk through this again just with these images. When you open your banking thing, the first thing we'll prompt you to do is log in. So again, if you already have an account, you can just go ahead and log in. But if not, you may have to click enroll. The language might differ, right? On those sites, it said like set up account or enroll. It might say activate now. The language might differ, so watch out for that. Usually it's a small button underneath the sign in button or the sign in form. It might be bigger sometimes, but you may have to look around a bit for it. Generally, that kind of set up a new account button is going to be underneath the actual like login form. And once you're set up, you'll have a designated username, or you'll sometimes use your card number and password. But remember that when you're setting this up, you do need information like a social security number. You do need an email account. You will need your PIN number in order to set this up. And make sure that when you're setting it up, again, whether you're doing it on your own or in a bank, have a pen and paper handy to record and take notes if you want to remember how this process works. You don't want to forget anything because it's not as simple to reset passwords with bank accounts as it is with other accounts because there's more security protocols and it's just a bit more of a process. So we want to make sure that we don't lose these logins or forget them. Now, once you're actually logged in, once you've gone through that process of creating the account and signing in, your banking app should look somewhat like this. All banking apps, as I said, are different. Here's a glance on how it looks. So basically, I have this page where I have all of my accounts, right? So my basic checking account, I have any credit cards, and you have like your balances. So you'll see a bunch of information like this. You'll see maybe updates, and then you'll usually have this bottom bar or top bar where you have your home with all your basic information, your ability to pay bills or transfer, and more options. So you can kind of see all the sections here. Say I wanted to go in and I wanted to look at my checking, my normal banking account. All I would have to do is click on that account. I would just click it and it would open it up. Now, this is how it looks on a computer, and it would look similarly on a phone or tablet. It would just be kind of different, but this is how it looks on a computer, right? So same options, banking, credit cards, whatever, banking, borrowing, and it's the same account, so I can click on them in the same way. And we have all those same buttons up here as well, bill payment, transfers, all that kind of stuff. Now, say I clicked into my checking account. This is kind of basically what I might see. I might see my current balance, my available balance, especially if this is like a credit card, I might see um, balance details. And then as I go down, I would see all my transactions, right? So I can see any transaction from literally the one I did 10 minutes ago to my first ever transaction. They should all be listed here. Now, doing online banking does have this helpful thing where you can usually search through your transactions too. So if you're looking for a specific one, but it was from so far back and you can't remember the date, you can usually search through descriptions, whether it's the amount or what it was for, if it's listed here. And you can also usually select the period. So your current period would be the month we're in, but you can go back, you can say last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and you can see a custom range search in terms of dates. So you can go back really easily and find those. Now you should be from here also be able to see your monthly statements. So for me, I have this area up here that's called documents, and I click on it and I can see my monthly statements. But you may have something around here as well that says view statements. Look for a button like that. And that's where you can see those official monthly statements, right? The ones that you would get in the mail, but just an electronic version of it. And you can see all of those. So if you've ever lost a physical copy and you needed it and you needed that monthly balance, we maybe, you're renting a new place and they require those monthly statements, as I know they do, right? To look back, proof of income or whatever it is. You can always go back and find them through here and find electronic versions and you can print them. So it's a helpful tool to have. So that's kind of that basic how you can look around, how you can access and see what's going on in your accounts, um, and do from there. Now, as I said, online banking offers certain services that make it easier to do things like deposit checks. So you can deposit checks with your online banking. Now, this is actually only available, I believe, for the most part with phones and tablets. With computers, they don't really have it set up that you can use like your webcam to do this. So generally, you can actually only deposit checks using a phone or tablet. But to do it, you go into the banking app, right? You log in, and there should be an option somewhere that says deposit a check. So it depends where it is. You may have to click into the account or say like the checkings account that you wish to deposit into. Sometimes it's just a big button on your screen that says deposit check. So it might require a little looking around. But then basically once you select that, it will prompt you to take a picture of the front and back of your check. You confirm some of the details of your deposit, namely just the amount that it says on it, and then you submit it. And you just store that check until it's cleared, and then you don't need it. It doesn't take your check away from you. You can keep it on you for future, or you can discard it once you make sure it's cleared through. Now, this is kind of what it looks like at a glance. As I said, you may have to look around. So for me, I always have to click into my actual account, and then it's like I have to click more, and it's deposit a check. It's a bit more of a multi-step process. I know in the TD US app, for example, this is this one. It's just there. Once you click into the account, it says deposit. So again, depending on the app, right on the front page, some you have to click into the account first. It just depends, but it will say deposit. So once you find that button, you just click on it, and then it takes you to a page like this. And this is really almost always looks the exact same. It's going to ask you things like where you want to deposit it to. So if you have a checkings account or a savings account, whatever you might have, you can deposit it directly to either one. It's then going to ask you to confirm the amount. Now you will be taking a photo of it and it will be able to see it, right? But it always asks you to confirm anyway, even if you're depositing it right on the machine, the ATM at the bank. So you put in the amount and then you take photos. So you'll just click take photo of the front. You will hold your camera up. It will direct you on your screen of like move the camera back or move it in. It will take the photo, make sure that the check is laying flat, and it helps if it's on a darker surface, especially if it's like a white paper check. It's light colors. If it's on a darker background, it helps them differentiate what is a check and what's not the check. And so it can take a clear picture of it. So keep that in mind. And good lighting too, if you can hold it under light, helpful as well. And then you should have a button at the bottom that says something like slide to deposit or click to deposit. And you click that. And if all the details are sound and the pictures are clear enough, it will just deposit the check. So it's that easy. Then you just keep the check until it clears, and then you can do whatever you want with it. You can store it or dispose of it. Now, if you want to send e-transfers with your online banking, so you can do this, you can send large or small amounts. It makes it really easy, whether you need to pay someone back for, a meal or you're paying rent. Sometimes people pay rent this method too, or any sort of larger transfer. You can also do that from the website or from the app. You can also pay larger bills from this too, right? Taxes, property taxes or stuff like that. Sometimes you can pay I can pay like parking tickets online, for example, through my bill payment. So it depends. But you'll look for a button that says something like send money or transfer. Again, it will depend. So say on the TD Bank app, it has both send money or transfer. I believe transfer is more about sending large sums of money between accounts, a traditional kind of wire transfer. Whereas send money is what we call like an e-transfer. And most banks now participate in something called Zelle, which allows for instant banking to transfer between accounts in the US. You may be familiar with like other third-party services like Venmo and stuff like that. These are similar services. Zelle integrates this right into your banking app so that you can do it kind of automatically. It's super easy, it's quicker, and there's less fees associated with it, if any, I think. So doing it this way is much easier than using like a Venmo. So if your bank has this available in the banking app, I would suggest that you get it set up so you can start using it rather than using some of those third-party services that are available. And so say I clicked send money or transfer, then I could say send money with Zelle. Now this will require additional account setup to set up your bank account with Zelle, but once it's set up for forever, and you can always send money. So I would do that. I would click send money. You can also request money with this. You could also sometimes have options to split a cost between multiple people, so that's helpful. There's different tools we have. But basically how this works is you click send, then you choose who you're sending it to. Generally, we can do this through either their email, their phone number, or account number, depending on what kind of information we have on them or what information is associated with their bank account where they'll be receiving those funds. And then it takes us to a page generally sometimes like this where we say how much you want to send and from what account you want to send it from, right? And then you can always put a reason for why you're sending it. Some accounts may also allow you to put a password or a security question on the send funds. So in case you accidentally, God forbid, sent it to the wrong email, there's a security question that only that person will be able to answer. So you can rest assured that the right person is going to get the money. And if something, you accidentally sent it to the wrong email, that person who received it wouldn't be able to deposit it. So it depends on the app. But this looks a bit different from place to place. But in its simplicity, you just select the amount, you select the person, and you click send. So those are some of those main features of online banking. As I said, you can do things like pay bills as well. You can check on lines of credit. You can open or close lines of credit through a banking app and more complicated things. It's really at its best when you're using it for those simple interactions, obviously, like depositing a check. It's like honestly the best thing in the world to be able to do that, especially when you just wanted that money right away and you don't have time to get there, right? So that's where it's at its best. It does have added features like you can request more money on a line of credit or all those things. Those are options on there. I would for me, I go into the bank for that stuff because I want to make sure I don't, do anything I'm wrong on there. But it's best when it's using those simple ways of just checking in. It's also super helpful when you are doing things online to be able to have access to that, right? Because if you have an issue where an account of yours online has been compromised and it has any sort of financial information, you can go and check that statement right away and see if there's anything suspicious there and report it immediately, rather than having to call your bank or go into your bank or wait for your monthly statement to realize I didn't make those purchases. Where are those coming from? You have instant access to that information, so it can actually improve your banking and overall online security. But as I said, it is important to keep in mind how we stay safe in here. So, as I said, when you are accessing online banking, make sure your connection is secure, whether that's through your internet or through your browser. And always make sure you have that HTTPS colon forward slash in the URL and look for the padlock icon. You can see it this. I'm just circling the top right corner. Can't really zoom, but you can see right here, I have this little padlock up here, and I have at the beginning of the URL this. This is a secure encrypted website. If the website you're on doesn't have that, that is probably not the right website. And so I would steer clear of that. This is how you know it's encrypted. When it comes to the apps, you can rest assured that generally, if it's on the App Store, it's the right app. It wouldn't be allowed on there, generally speaking. If it were a dupe, they would catch that usually. So you don't have to like look out for that as much on there, but on here, just in case, you can make sure that that padlock is there, and that is there to make sure that your connection is secure. If you want added security, you can use, as I said, encryption or antivirus software, firewalls, and anything like that to protect yourself. That might look, like I said, like a VPN, a virtual private network, which is just an app you download and you turn on, and it creates like an encryption tunnel around your connection. Again, especially for using public Wi-Fi networks, or making sure that your antivirus software on a computer or otherwise is up to date. Um, Always create a really strong password. This is the most important place to create those really strong passwords, um, because this is all your financial stuff, right? So make sure you have a really strong password. Keep it somewhere safe if you need to write it down. Um, and also, you should be able to do things like sign up for security alerts. So when you're setting it up, this process, there's usually a questionnaire about like what kind of email or notifications you want to get from online banking, and just make sure you read those carefully and select to get any sort of security alerts, so things that they want to let you know, and you can get ding like a phone call or also email or a notification right on your device. That being said, when we do this, it's really important if we do get emails that we read them carefully, because this is also a scheme in terms of phishing scams, that people might send things that look like they're coming from a bank to do that. So that's where it gets right a bit iffy. Like, you can set up these things that will make your account more secure, but people tend to prey on those types of communications when it comes to like email phishing and scamming. So just be alert to those. Always go directly to the website or the app and log in if you have some sort of alert, to make sure that you're seeing that alert on there as well, and it's not just coming through to your email and it's actually a false alarm. Sign up for use two-factor authentication. So this is another thing that I think most banks kind of force you to do this at this point. They wouldn't really allow you to sign up without it, from like my experience without doing it. When we're talking about two-factor authentication, what this means is that process of when I go to log into my account, I put in my email, I put in my password, I log in, and it says uh, send a code to my phone, right? That's the two-factor authentication. So it's using multiple ways of communicating with you in order to say, you're logging on your computer. We're also going to check this on your phone to make sure you have both devices. And this is not just someone who's taken your computer and is trying to log in, right? So where that's available, set it up. It may look different depending on your device. On a phone, if it has something like a finger scan or a Face ID feature, it might look like using that as a secondary form of authentication. If you're on your computer, it may look like you're going to get a text with a code and you have to put that code in. So it depends on where you're logging in from, how that's set up. But they'll generally suggest it, walk you through it. Again, if you have any questions on how to set that up, best thing to do is go to the bank and talk to them about it. But two-factor authentication, incredibly important in this case. Doing this sets us up in some ways to be prey for other scams, where people use false communications from financial institutions to try to trick us with like phishing scams. So always be wary in email or phone and text. Be suspicious whenever you're asked for things such as account numbers, PINs, social security numbers, passwords, and the like. The best rule to follow is, if someone else initiated contact with you, never share sensitive data. Hang up and say no thanks, or delete the email. If you really are concerned about the communication, and as it pertains to your banking accounts, call your institution, look at the number on the back of that card and call them, right? You should always be able to call them back and receive the same information, or go into your account on your phone, tablet, or computer, log in, because there's also generally messaging systems or alerts within there, and you should be able to see, a similar messaging coming up there. If it's only coming through in a phone call, a text, or an email, and you're not seeing it, uh, you know, put up on your account when you log in, or when you call them, you're not hearing about it. That's how you know. So be suspicious. Always err on the side of caution when receiving those kinds of communications from people claiming to be your financial institution. As I always said, if you can help it, don't access your mobile banking in public spaces, especially when connected to public Wi-Fi network. And also, additionally, we may not think about this in a crowded area, right? Follow the same practice you do when you go into the bank and you type in your PIN number, right? You cover the number. The same practices should be done when you're doing it on a device. If you're logging into your account, make sure there's not a lot of people behind you. And if you have to, cover your screen while you're typing in your PIN, or your password or account login. Apply whatever you would do, when you're trying to keep private at the bank, to your actual device. Think of it as, a mobile ATM in that kind of way. And even after this, you may be wary, can I trust online banking? Financial institutions at this point are held to a really high standard when it comes to protecting your money, your personal identity, and information. And federal and state regulations require banks and credit unions to use multiple layers of protective security in their online banking systems. And so banks must make sure their platforms are safe and secure. And if ever there's a case in which they are not secure and your funds are compromised due to an error on the bank, that is on the bank and not on you. So it's important to remember that, so that you can feel confident and safe going forward with online banking, because I do think it's not only convenient, I actually do think it improves in this day and age our actual ability to keep our accounts secure and keep an eye on our financial situation, to make sure that we're not missing any red flags when it comes to maybe, our account information being stolen. And if you ever need help still with this stuff, remember, there's that phone number on the back of your bank card. Call your bank or go in person, and they're almost always happy to help you set this up. So give your local branch a call and ask for services with helping set up online banking. And remember, banking staff already have your account information handy so they can look it up. And every transaction you do with the bank or with bank staff must be kept confidential. So this is how they protect you when you're learning to use the new bank app, right? So if they're helping you set up the account, they may see some of that information, but they are held liable for that as well. And they have to keep that information confidential and private. So you can rest assured that when you're at the bank going through the setup with them, that information is all safe. So thank you for listening. If you ever have questions about this topic, remember, reach out to your bank. But if you have more technical questions about stuff, you can always call us toll free at 844-217-3057, or visit us at cyberseniors.org.